Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du, fa'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Right in the beginning, I want to request the Lajna Imam side to please make sure that you do have a microphone available on your side, so that when we come to the Q&A part, if any member of Lajna Imam may have any question, no time shall be wasted on looking for a microphone at that time. That being said, tonight's Quran class is actually the continuation of the topic that we started discussing last Wednesday in our Quran class, which is related to Salat matters. Last week when we gathered here, I gave a brief talk on Salat related matters and the fatwa of Hazrat Masih Ma'ud alayhi salatu wasalam on different issues. Afterwards, many members had questions, and then those questions were answered under the light of Fiqh al-Masih, Fiqh Ahmadiyya. I received many comments from membership that last week's Quran class and Q&A session was really enjoyed by many members, and they wanted to have another one of those sessions. So then I decided that since tonight's Quran class is also part of the ongoing Ashra Tarbiyat, which literally is ending tonight, I wanted to dedicate this Quran class to the subject that we were discussing previously, that is of Salat matters as well. That being said, there are quite a few points I wanted to discuss, and then after that I will open up the floor to all of you to ask any question related to Salat matters. One point that I wanted to discuss with all of you is what it is that the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam, Hazrat Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadiani alayhi salatu wasalam, has written or stated about the importance of offering prayer in congregation. We have seen an influx, an increase in our daily prayers attendance, whether it be Fajr, Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib or Isha. We see that there was an increase during these 10 days of Ashra Tarbiyat. More specifically, the prayers that I actually noticed was that there was a great improvement on the Fajr attendance, the Zuhr attendance, and also the Isha attendance. So by the grace of Allah, these three Salat saw an amazing improvement in terms of our attendance. Many people made sure that they come out during these 10 days. So first and foremost, my humble plea to all of you who actually did come during these 10 days for these specific prayers, do keep on coming. The purpose of this Ashra Tarbiyat is not that you come to masjid for these 10 days and then basically you say goodbye and go back to the old ways. The whole point of Ashra Tarbiyat is so that everybody starts to develop the habit of frequenting the masjid as often as possible every day. Hazrat Masih Ma'ud alayhi salatu wasalam, regarding the importance and wisdom behind offering salat in congregation, says, नमाज में जो जमात का ज़्यादा सवाब रखा है, इसमें यही गर्ज है कि वहदत पैदा होती है और फिर इस वहदत को अमली रंग में लाने की यहाँ तक हिदायत और ताकीद है कि बाहम पाँव भी मसावी हों और सफ सीधी हो और एक दूसरे से मिले हुए हों। इससे मतलब ये है कि गोया एक ही इंसान का हुक्म रखें और एक के अनवार दूसरे में सिरायत कर सकें। वो तमीज़ जिससे खुदी और खुद गर्जी पैदा होती है ना रहे। ये खूब याद रखो कि इंसान में ये कुव्वत है कि वो दूसरे के अनवार को जज़ब करता है। फिर इसी वहदत के लिए हुक्म है कि रोज़ाना नमाजें महल्ले की मस्जिद में और हफ्ते के बाद शहर की मस्जिद में और फिर साल के बाद ईदगाह में जमा हों और कुल ज़मीन के मुसलमान साल में एक मरतबा बैतुल्लाह में इकट्ठे हों। इन तमाम अहकाम की गर्ज वही वहदत है। लेक्चर लुधियाना रूहानी ख़ज़ाइन जिल्द 20 सफ़ा 281-282। In this reference that I have quoted before you, the promised Messiah ﷺ basically says that there is more reward in offering prayers in congregation, and there is wisdom behind it. The wisdom is that there needs to be a unity among the community of the believers, so much so that when you stand together in prayer, shoulder to shoulder, even your heels are matching with each other, meaning the place where you place your heel, even that is in line. And then literally your shoulder is touching with the shoulder of the person to the right and then to the person on the left. And there is no gap in between. And he says the reason behind that is, number one, of course, that you act as a single body. Even though there are hundreds of you standing together in prayer, going in ruku together, going in sajda together, saying salam together, saying takbirat together. Why is that? It is so that you look like as if you are a single body. And then the promised Messiah ﷺ says that, remember, there is more sabab in this, more spiritual reward in this. And then the promised Messiah ﷺ says that, look, mankind has been given this ability that they can absorb spiritual prowess of another person. The Ruhani Anwar, the spiritual prowess, Quwwat-e-Qudsi, of the other person standing to your right or left can have an effect on you. It reminds me of that incident whereby once a Sikh student of Qadian came to the promised Messiah ﷺ and said that, Mirza Sahib, I am lately having these atheistic tendencies. What should I do? The promised Messiah ﷺ told him, this Sikh student was a college going student or a university student. Promised Messiah ﷺ told him, you should change the place where you're sitting. And the man changed the place where he was sitting in his classroom. And then came back a month or so later, and then promised Messiah ﷺ asked about him, and then he replied that now I don't have those tendencies. Promised Messiah ﷺ mentioned to him that the individual whom you were sitting next to was probably an atheist, and his thought process was having an effect on you. And this is why you were having those thoughts or feelings. So if that can happen, why would the opposite not happen? It can, and it will, if you have that conviction in you. For example, when you stand in prayers, it's possible that the person to the right or the left, or maybe you yourself, are more focused and concentrated in your prayer. And the person on your right or left might not be as concentrated in prayer or focused in prayer. So it's very likely that your focus and your attention in prayer might start to affect the person on your right or left. Whether that person be your brother, whether that person be your son, whether that person be your father, or so on and so forth. Another point that I wanted to discuss today is regarding a question that I had received. This question was that if a person comes late to the masjid, and let's say that a prayer is happening, you come at a time and coincidentally on that day, let's say Zohr and Asr are being combined, or Maghrib and Isha are being combined. So when you come to the masjid, you still have to offer Zohr Salat, and you do not know that Imam is actually now leading Asr Salat. So what should you do? Should you come and just join behind Imam and offer that prayer? What would be the right way of doing, of going about? The promised Messiah ﷺ has made it very clear. He says that the tartib Salat is important. You have to offer that prayer which comes first, and that which comes later has to be offered later. Imagine a person XYZ comes to masjid. Imam is offering, let's say, Asr Salat. And when that person who walked in late, he knows that the Imam is leading Asr Salat and he still has to offer Zohr Salat, then on his own he must offer his Zohr Salat. Once he has offered his Zohr Salat, then he will come and join the Imam, and behind Imam he will offer whatever portion of Asr Salat he may get. And then of course he will finish the Asr Salat. So imagine if another person walks in, he doesn't know that Imam is reading Asr Salat, and this person still has to offer Zohr Salat. In that case, this person, let's say, comes in and starts the prayer behind the Imam, thinking that Imam is leading Zohr Salat, where in reality Imam is leading Asr Salat. In that case, whatever namaz or whatever salat Imam is leading, that salat for that specific individual will also be considered done. So his Asr Salat is done. But now, the order in which prayers are offered, the Zohr is first and Asr is later, now for that individual, the order has reversed. He just offered Asr Salat first, because he did not know that the Imam was offering Asr Salat. He thought that the Imam is leading Zohr Salat. Had he known that the Imam is leading Asr Salat, he should have prayed his Zohr first and then joined behind Imam. But because he didn't know, and the basis of Sharia is on ease and not hardship, in this case, his Asr Salat would be counted because he didn't know that Imam was leading Asr Salat. So the niyat of the Imam would become the niyat of this person as well. And now when he has finished this prayer and he realizes that Imam was leading Asr Salat, not the Zohr Salat, this individual will now offer Zohr Salat. This was the second matter I wanted to. And the third matter that I wanted to address is, if a person comes late to the masjid, if a person comes late to the masjid and the Imam is already, in the middle of the prayer, what should you do? There are multiple scenarios to keep in mind. For example, let's say you come to masjid and the Imam is reciting another surah after Surah Al-Fatiha. So when you enter, let's say he is reciting Surah An-Nas. So you know automatically that the Imam has already done reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. As soon as you join in, you would, after after Sana, you're going to recite Surah Fatiha. Even though Imam is not reciting Surah Fatiha at the moment, he is reciting Bam Surah, the surah which comes after Surah Al-Fatiha. But you are first going to recite Surah Al-Fatiha, and then whatever is Imam reciting, you will listen to it quietly. And then when the Imam goes in ruku, you go in ruku. Let's say you join at a time when the Imam is in ruku already. What should you do? Should you join, read Surah Fatiha, and then another surah, and then go in ruku? No. In that case, following Imam is more important. So when you come in and you see that the Imam is already in ruku, you say your takbir and then you go straight in ruku and join the Imam in ruku. Promised Messiah ﷺ has mentioned that the rak'ah of that individual will be counted. If a person who came late because of a legitimate reason, who was trying to make it to Salat in time, but because of traffic or some other reason, that individual was not able to make it to Salat in time, for that individual, if he joins or she joins the Imam in a ruku, then that rak'ah for that individual will be counted. But if you join the Imam in Salat after ruku, then that ruku is not counted. Remember, if you had joined before ruku, which means the Imam is still in Qiyam and is reciting something other than Surah Al-Fatiha, which means that the Imam has already recited Al-Fatiha, you have to recite Al-Fatiha the moment you join in. After Sana, you will read Surah Fatiha quickly and then observe silence and just listen and focus on whatever portion of the Quran Imam is reciting. So these were 3 points I wanted to mention today. Now I open the floor to all of you. Ask any question that you would like to ask. First and foremost, I would like to give the opportunity to the Lajna side. If you have any question related to Salat, please go ahead. In the meantime, the men's side can think of questions. Does the Lajna side have a question today?
Do they have a mic?
I announced in the very beginning that they can look for a microphone, which was about 20 minutes ago, so I'm hoping they were able to find a microphone. If not, maybe perhaps you can send a young child downstairs to the men's hall with your questions. In the meantime, I can take the questions from the men's side. जी, चोई साहब।
डॉक्टर साहब, जिस तरह आजकल ये दर्स के लिए कोई आता है तो वो लेट होता है, उसने अगर मगरिब की नमाज नहीं पढ़ी तो वो आगे अगर 3 फर्ज पढ़ लेता है तो फिर वो उसकी इशा के साथ कंबाइंड हो जाती है या इशा की अलग उसको?
Okay, Jazakallah for your question. Your question is that if a person comes late, let's say, tonight we're having this Quran class, somebody comes in now, when it's past Maghrib time, and that individual comes in, and that individual now quickly offers his Maghrib prayer, and after a few minutes gap, he gets to offer the Isha Salat behind the Imam here at the masjid. So would these two prayers be considered as combined for that individual? The answer is no. If you come late and the Maghrib Salat is still to be offered, what you should do is, despite the fact that there's a Holy Quran class going on, prayer is first. So go to one side, offer your 3 rakah of Maghrib Salat, followed by the 2 Sunnah prayers. Once you're done with that, then listen to the Quran class. And when the Azan is called for Isha Salat, and Isha Salat, starts behind Imam, then you join in on that Salat. But your Salat will not be considered as you combining these two prayers, just because you came late and then there was a gap of, let's say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes before between your offering of Maghrib Salat and then the offering of the Isha Salat in congregation at the masjid. Yes, sir.
In my case, I already offered Maghrib prayer at home.
Okay.
By driving. I joined a few minutes late this test.
Okay.
I think I have completed my Maghrib and I am set to listen dars of the Imam and followed by the Isha prayer. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So there is one more thing I also wanted to highlight, but somehow I forgot to mention it. It has to do with the offering of the Sunnah prayers. And this is for everyone who belongs to the young generation. I want you to pay real close attention to what I'm about to say. During the time of the promised Messiah ﷺ, practice of the promised Messiah ﷺ was that he would offer the Sunnah prayers. The Sunnah prayers, whether before the Fard Rakat or the ones that come after the Fard Rakat. He would offer the Sunnah prayers at home. Meaning, let's say, there are Sunnah prayers before Fajr, 2 Sunnah prayers. So he would offer them at his home, then he would come to Masjid and then offer the 2 Fard Rakat of the Fajr prayer. And then for, let's say, Zohr Salat, he would offer the 4 Sunnah prayers which are to be offered before Fard Rakat at his home, and then the Sunnah prayers which are to be offered after the Fard Rakat, he would offer them after going back to his home. Sometimes when he would see that there are lots of people behind him and he cannot leave for home, in that case, he would offer his Sunnah prayers right there and then at the masjid. Some young members started seeing that promised Messiah Islam is not offering Sunnah prayers at masjid, so they might have started to think that maybe there are no Sunnah prayers and it's just Fard Rakat, and then after reading the Fard Rakat they would just get up and leave. And this was something that Hazrat Khalifa Awwal radiallahu anhu also noticed in his Khilafat. So then he addressed the youngsters and he said that no, this is a wrong way, because he said that it's possible that the youth might just offer the Fard Rakat and get up and leave. and they think that that's the end of it. He said no. In that very gathering, he first and foremost mentioned that Hazrat Mirza Ji alayhi salam, meaning Promised Messiah alayhi salam, he would, after, he would go home, the first thing he would do is offer his sunnah prayers. Or before coming from his home to masjid, he would offer the sunnah prayers which come before the salat. And then he said that this is my practice as well. And then he said, is there any member of the household of the Promised Messiah who can attest to this? Right there and then in that mahfil, in that majlis, was Hazrat Muslim radiallahu anhu, who became the second Khalifa. He stood up and he said that, yes sir, it is exactly as you say. Promised Messiah alayhi salam would offer his sunnah prayers before coming to masjid, and then those sunnah prayers which are after the salat, he would come back from the masjid to his home, and the very first thing that he would do is offer his sunnah prayers. After having done his sunnah prayers, then he would, engage in any other activity at the house. And then the second son of the Promised Messiah, Sahibzada Mirza Bashir Ahmed Sahib radiallahu anhu, also gave this testimony. Then the father-in-law of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam also gave the same testimony. And then I believe one of his sons, probably Hazrat Mir Muhammad Ishaq Sahib radiallahu anhu, also gave the same testimony. So this is the practice. So those of you who come to masjid, offer your fard prayer, and then don't offer your sunnah prayer, and then go home without offering your sunnah prayer here at the masjid, and neither do you offer your sunnah prayers at home, you're wrong. You have to make sure that you offer your sunnah prayers here at the masjid. And if for some reason you cannot offer them here, then you can go home and offer them there. Unless you are already in the habit of offering your sunnah prayers at home. If that's the case, then that's fine. But if not, then make sure when you come here, offer your sunnah prayers right here. This also applies to witr prayers as well. Sometimes some of us, we don't offer the witr prayers after Isha Salat. And what ends up happening is that we don't get up for Tahajjud Salat, and thereby we end up missing witr Salat. Witr is supposed to be done, it's not optional. So either you offer it right after Isha Salat, or you make sure that you get up for Tahajjud Salat and then offer it after reading your Tahajjud Salat before Fajr. Somebody asked Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam, what is better? Promised Messiah alayhi salam said, it is better to offer witr Salat right after Isha. If you think that you're going to end up missing Tahajjud Salat and thereby, missing witr Salat. Sawal? Ji, Doctor.
Maybe you notice or not, especially on the Sundays, as you're talking about a sunnah, that's my observation, yet most of the time I haven't seen most of the people doing the sunnah with the understanding that it's going to be a Jum'ah. Is that a right practice to do that? Because we don't know that Namaz is going to be Jum'ah. We're going to combine until after the Zohar, fourth of the. So if you can just,
Yeah. So when you come to the masjid and beforehand there was an announcement made that the prayers are going to be combined, in that case sunnah is not offered. But if you come to masjid and no such announcement was made that prayers are going to be combined, in that case you have to offer the sunnah prayers. Sunnah is not exceptional. I mean, sunnah is not, something which is to be taken for granted. It is something which is mandatory and we have to offer it. So if there was, like for example, for 2 months of winter, Zohr and Asr, because of the time frame that they were too close to each other, they were being combined in a very specific time frame. Everybody knew because it was on the Salat timetable. So in those days, when people would come, they know that there are no Sunnah prayers because Zohr and Asr are being combined. But now, we're not combining Zohr and Asr Salat. So now if you come to Masjid thinking that, it's Sunday, we had Da'ir Academy or some other program, so most likely Imam Sahib or whoever is the Imam Salat in his absence will combine prayers, and with that assumption you don't offer your Sunnah prayers, that is wrong. But this is something that the Imam Salat also needs to keep in mind, and so does the administration. Sometimes when I am leading prayers and there is some jalsa or some activity, oftentimes I am told by the administration to combine prayers. Sometimes I do, because there is blessing in also obeying to the administrator of the Jamaat. But sometimes, because it is my responsibility to teach you the right way, I also not combine prayers, just so that I can teach the membership that we don't necessarily combine prayers every time there is a function. At the time of Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this was also his practice, that he is sitting with his Sahaba, Radwanullah Alayhim Ajma'in, and a discussion is happening. Imagine that discussion being a Majlis Amla meeting, or any meeting for that matter, the way we have it in Imam. And then he had offered his prayer, and then there was a meeting ongoing, and then they would stop the meeting and then offer the next prayer. They wouldn't combine the prayers because there was some discussion ongoing or there was some jalsa, so on and so forth. So similarly, this is also the sunnah of Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Just because Sharia gives us some, relaxation, doesn't necessarily mean that that relaxation must apply every time there is some sort of a meeting at the masjid. Otherwise, our new generation, our younger generation will think on Sunday it is only 3 times that we have to come to masjid, or it is only 4 times that we have to come to masjid, which is a wrong trend if it becomes, God forbid, a trend in our Jamaat among the youth. So this is why when you come to masjid, especially on a day when there is some program, don't think, unless there was an announcement made beforehand, don't think that the prayers are going to be combined, and offer your sunnah prayers. If you have offered your sunnah prayers and the Imam ends up combining the prayers, then those sunnah prayers will become nafal for you, which is extra. And Allah Ta'ala becomes closer to you through nawafil, which is not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing. Yes, sir.
So there's a question, you probably may have answered it, but what if Zohar has started and you have not done the sunnah? So do you do the sunnah after the Faraz?
Okay. So if the Zohar prayer has started and you still have to offer sunnah prayers, meaning you have not started the sunnah prayers, in that case you join the Imam and offer the Zohar Salat first, and then offer the sunnah prayers after Zohar, which are technically supposed to be offered before the Zohar prayer itself. Now let's say you come to masjid and you're already offering your sunnah prayers which are before Zohar Salat, and you're almost about to finish, but the Imam stands up and he starts the Zohar Salat. Now the rule in this scenario is, if you can finish your sunnah prayers before the Imam, or by the time Imam goes in ruku, and you're able to catch the prayer in that time frame in which Imam is still in ruku, you can finish your sunnah prayers. And this is something that the Prophet Muhammad Islam has also mentioned. Once Prophet Muhammad Islam joined, he was offering sunnah prayers. Once he was offering sunnah prayers, and then the Imam was leading the Zohar Salat already. And then Prophet Muhammad Islam, after finishing his sunnah prayers, joined the Imam in the ruku of the first rakah. In the ruku of the first rakah, he joined the Imam. And then after the prayer was done, Prophet Muhammad asked the different Maulvis of the Jamaat that were sitting over there, that what do they think about this? Would his prayer or would his rakah be counted, or his prayer be counted? And they said that, Huzur, because it says in the hadith that La salata illa bil Fatiha, that there is no prayer without Surah Fatiha, and you skip you missed the Surah Fatiha in the first rakah, therefore your prayer would probably not be counted. At this, the Prophet Messiah Islam then corrected them and said, look, the words of the hadith is La salata illa bil Fatiha. The words are not La raka'a illa bil Fatiha. Your raka'ah is still done. And the hadith wherein this is mentioned, that La salata illa bi Fatihatil kitab, it is to actually show the importance of Surah Fatiha. That no prayer can be considered, complete unless Surah Fatiha is recited in it. Not that Surah Fatiha has to be recited in every rak'ah. This is for that individual who joined the Imam in ruku. But if you have joined in the rak'ah itself, in the beginning of the rak'ah itself, then yes, Surah Fatiha is going to be part of every rak'ah. I believe I have answered your question. Is there any aspect of it that I
have one.
Yes, sir.
I offer Isha prayer behind Imam, and I offer Sunnah, then I go home. I I don't offer Witr. How many rakat I should offer in Tahajjud?
Your question is that if you have not offered your witr salat after Isha, and basically your intention is that when you will get up for tahajjud salat, then you will offer the witr prayer. In that case, the practice of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was that he would offer 8 rakahs for tahajjud, so 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, and then 3 rakah of witr. This was the practice of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is the same practice that we, the Ahmadi Muslims, also have. That if you don't offer witr right after Isha, then you will offer it after Tahajjud Salat before Fajr, in the form that you will offer 8 rakahs of Tahajjud Salat followed by 3 rakahs of witr Salat. Now, offering of the witr can be done in 2 different manners. One is that you would offer witr Salat similar to Maghrib, without any break in between. And then the second manner is that you offer 2 rakah, you say the salam, then without saying anything you stand up again and then you read 1 rakah and treat it like the 3rd rakah. This way you will be able to read Durood Sharif twice, the Salatul Nabi, Durood Sharif twice. And this was the way that the promised Messiah Islam preferred to offer his witr prayer.
I have noticed that only 4 rakats are offered as a tahajjud, followed by 3 rakats. Is that right or no?
You're talking about here at the masjid?
No, masjid may be
Tahajjud.
tahajjud, 4 rakats of tahajjud, followed by 3 rakats.
Okay. That is probably, your observation is that you have seen that 4 rakah for tahajjud are offered followed by 3 rakah for witr prayer. That is probably because if you're talking about here at the masjid, not sometimes actually, every time we get here for tahajjud salat and we're offering it in congregation, the time that we have selected is literally 30 minutes to maybe 45 minutes before Fajr prayer. And it's not enough time. You can still read 8 rakah, but then you're going to be offering them in quite a fast pace. Or if you choose to do it the right way, then you will take your time to offer all the rakahs during the tahajjud salah. But then that takes more than 30 minutes. Promised Messiah ﷺ, once somebody asked Promised Messiah ﷺ that, Huzur, I get up for tahajjud salat almost 1 hour prior to Fajr salat. And Promised Messiah ﷺ said to him, that is nothing special. Even the animals are awake at that time. Even the birds are awake at that time. Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu has also made a statement similar to that. So the proper time for tahajjud salat is actually right after midnight. Nisaf Shab. Right after midnight is the awwal waqt, is the beginning time for tahajjud salat. What Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do is, after offering his Isha salat, he would go to bed. He would not have any other activity. There wouldn't be any meeting. There wouldn't be anything. He would go to bed right away. And then he would sleep for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever time that he would get. And then right after midnight he would get up. And then he would offer tahajjud salat. He would offer tahajjud salat, and remember, now he has hours. 3 hours or maybe 4 hours to offer his tahajjud salat. And in which he is going to offer 8 rakahs, and then followed by 3 rakahs of witr. So he had 3 or 4 hours to offer that. And then his practice was that after having done this, after having offered his tahajjud plus witr, he would then rest for some time until the azan for Fajr was called. And when the azan for Fajr salat was called, he would then offer the sunnah prayers at home. After offering sunnah prayers at home, then he would proceed to masjid and offer the Fajr prayer over there. This also reminds me, one more question which was raised is offering any nafal prayer after the Fajr time has begun. So please note, there is no nafal prayer from the time the Fajr time begins all the way till the sunrise. There is only 4 rakah prayers. 2 are the sunnah of Fajr, and then followed by the 2, the fard rakat of the Fajr salat. And that is it. Yes, sir.
This is a follow-up question from from Lajna about the Sunnah prayer for Zohar.
Mm-hmm.
If they miss if they join during the first prayer, what's the order of the Sunnah prayer afterwards? Do we do 4 and 2 or 2 and 4?
What's before is before, what's after is after. So the 4 sunnah prayers should be offered first, followed by the 2 sunnah prayers.
So,
Yes, sir.
the scenario you mentioned where somebody comes in at this time, they haven't done Maghrib, so they should do 3 first, 2 sunnah. But the time of Maghrib is gone, right? You're not supposed to offer Maghrib in full after. After that, doesn't it get combined, so you should only do 3 first?
Number one, if you're offering a prayer after its designated time, it doesn't mean that that prayer is going to be offered as a qasr salat. The sunnah prayers are dropped only when prayers are combined or when prayers are being offered as qasr. But if a person comes late to masjid and he still has to, or she still has to offer Maghrib Salat, they are going to offer the Maghrib Salat in its totality. Not that they will just offer the 3 rakah of Maghrib and then they'll sit, they'll enjoy the entire Holy Quran class for 30 minutes or 40 minutes and then they'll just get up and offer Isha Salat. So when you come to masjid, you're supposed to offer the Maghrib Salat in its totality. Now if an individual, let's say, comes at this very moment when the class is about to end, so let's say he or she starts their Maghrib Salat, and while they're still offering their Maghrib Salat, the Imam stands up and starts leading the Isha Salat. Now they literally don't have the time to offer the Sunnah prayers for the Maghrib Salat. So now for them, the exception is that now their Maghrib is actually being considered as combined with Isha. But this is a wrong way of combining anyways. But because it is something which is considered as a majburi, this is going to happen, that they will not be able to offer the 2 sunnah which are right after Maghrib because the Imam is already standing and leading the Isha prayers. So as soon as the 3 rakah, the 4th rakat of Maghrib are done, they're going to join the Imam and offer their Isha Salat. I hope that answers. Okay. Any other question quickly before we end tonight's class? Any question from the Lajna side? Okay. Jazakallah, and once again my gratitude and thanks to all of you who took time out and came here tonight. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.